Good morning. Another day, another dollar. I'm setting up a little bit. Give me a moment. And finishing my coffee. Delicious coffee. Yes, if you haven't yet, up in the top right is the discord.gg link for my Discord if you'd like to join and say hello. And you know, we have a few members now thanks to that Mr. B stream. That was awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, it's starting to kind of come alive a little bit. Starting to actually get a little bit of discussion in there every now and then. It's nice. I recommend you join. Anima Plays says, do libraries take longer to make than Minecraft plugins? The answer is, they can. It depends on the library, honestly. So, for example, a library that is not super complicated and just does, let's say, event handling for Bukkit, maybe a day to make. A few hours, right? A day. With a plugin or a library that's meant to be like a base library for all your plugins, has like all sorts of things attached to it, that takes a little bit longer. Maybe a month or more. And you're constantly updating them, so you know. Alrighty. Hi, I'm here. I am present. And yes, like I said, up in the top right is the discord.gg link for my Discord. It's also in the description below and in chat, I think, as well. So you should be able to find it. Come join us, it's fun. But yes, so today we're going to do a new plugin. Last time if you don't remember, we did a death chest plugin. Very simple, basic death chest plugin. That's essentially all it is you die, a chest is created, and it takes X amount of time before you can get to the chest again. I can't remember if that was configurable or not. It looks like it was not. Yeah, no, it's hard-coded in 30 minutes, or if you have a permission node, specific permission node, then you can bypass it all the time and access the chest. But yeah, good stuff. So this time I'm wondering exactly how I'm gonna do this. I'm thinking, yeah, this time we're gonna do a warp plugin. It's fairly basic. Your event chain library seems like it would take a while to make. Yeah, it did take a little bit, and there's still one bug with it that I have yet to fix with in regards to the Bukkit specifically. So we're gonna check that out at some point. I don't know if we're gonna do it today, but we'll check it out at some point, or I'll check it out at some point and see if I can figure out what's going on with it. So today, yeah, we're gonna do a warp plugin. Now, I haven't really thought too much about what exactly I want it to do to be complete. Yeah, basically we're making smart goals here, right? Do I know how long it took? I do actually, because I made it. The answer is, let's see if I can open Get Kraken here. Let's see. Boop. The answer is, I mean, all in all, looks like I've been working on it for the last 6 months, but probably about a month of work solid. If you want to do like 8-hour days, essentially. Month of work, give or take. Maybe a month and a half. So yeah, I finished my coffee here. I'm almost done. So I'm just kind of thinking, what do I want this plugin to do to be complete, like considered complete? Basically, we're starting off by making smart goals with this plugin. Like, what do we want it to do? The answer is pretty obvious. We want it to warp, right? But how? So I'm thinking we want the admin to be able to create, and I'm kind of going from broad to and generic to more specific goals here, but the broad strokes of this plugin. We want an admin to be able to create warps that other players can go to, right? Probably using commands or even signs. If we can get signs in, that would be awesome. Sorry. And we probably want permission nodes for like a per warp permission nodes. Yeah, we do want that. It's fine. Trying to think here, like I can't really think of it. It's going to be a simple plugin, so I can't really think of anything else that we would want, right? A month on a project is huge. It's kind of a month spread out over the last 6 months. It's not like I sat there for a month. Oh, hey, thank you so much, Super Gluis, Super Lego Louise. I am so sorry. Thank you so much for following. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so it's not like I sat down for a month solid and worked on this. It's over the last 6 months I've been working on it, like maybe a couple of days at a time, or one day I go back to it and fix a few things and it'd take a couple hours, but yeah, it's, you know, it's not like I sat there, right? So yeah, I'm thinking, okay, turning this into smart goals, it would basically be, I want, so let's actually write this down. Some Notepad++ here. So want this to, we want an admin, so basically someone with specific permission nodes, perms nodes, to create warps at locations. Probably where they're standing is fine. Right? Basically, like, have a command that creates a warp in X place, right? Suddenly there's commands in here, and suddenly this is making this much more complicated. So Emma says, was it hard figuring out the abstract classes interfaces you needed? Understanding other people's interfaces and the reason behind them is hard for me. Yes and no. Basically, I stole the concept from Luck, from Luck Berms. So Luck created a this base library that he uses for Luck Perms, which includes this event library, or like a small like event section to his library, and his is nice. It's like it's an event kind of chain. Like you chain these listen event handlers, things like that, or filters and things to go along with it, and that's where the idea of event chain came from. So basically, he created like this chainable event system that hooks into Bukkit, and I thought that was a really cool idea, but I wanted it not just for Bukkit, but for like other projects as well, like whatever you wanted, really. So I basically generified it. That's all I really did was steal his concepts and generify them. Simple enough. So it's interesting because I chose the ones without words, and here we are listening to words. So yeah, it's, you know, I didn't really do a lot of the heavy lifting. Luck did, but figuring out the abstract classes, the generics and things it was fine because I already had experience with it. It requires practice. It's practice, mostly. So we need perm nodes to create warps at locations. So basically admins can create these warps at whatever location they're standing on, which means we need commands. So commands for creating, deleting, modifying, and going to warps. So this is going to mean we're probably going to need to look at the cloud command framework as well, which I've been working with the cloud command framework. It's really nice. I enjoy it. we're gonna have to dumb down what I usually do with it quite a lot. In fact, we're basically gonna just have to go to back to where like their basic thing, and we probably won't be using Kiori as well, which would be nice, but it's probably not gonna happen in 4 hours. How are listeners even registered for events? You need a method. How'd you get around needing a method for events? You kind of do and you kind of don't. So the way, I mean, you can look at the code, but if you want to see how it's done for Bukkit, it's actually right here. So you have a Bukkit event subscriber, and yeah, that's it. So you can programmatically listen to events with Bukkit. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't actually have to. Yeah. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. You don't have to use annotations. You can do it programmatically. It's like, this is fairly straightforward. And this is how events are managed or listened to with the actual library. So yeah, for this we're basically going to need the Cloud Command framework, which is going to be fun to try and do in 4 hours. We're gonna try it. But yeah, so we have perm nodes for to create, modify, delete, and go to warps. Adding in the possibility of signs here as well. Just the possibility of signs. But I mean, generally, and then perm nodes per warp. So yeah, so I guess the idea here, yeah, this should be fine. And again, we're gonna end up using a database, which is essentially just gonna be a YAML file. I'm wondering if it's better to use a single YAML file with all the warps in it, or just to create a custom file structure for each warp. It's more user-friendly, more editable if you use YAML. But it's nicer and better. It's better for me. That didn't, I hit the wrong button. I just hit the wrong button and just all of that went through. Thanks, Mr. Motorcycle. I'm like sitting here trying to mute him, like, wait, hang on, this is the wrong button. I'm a moron. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so I'm thinking, yeah. Oh, okay. Emma says, so for player emulator, oh boy. You worked on how were you able to have 1,000 emulated players and not be able to support 1,000 real players? Less packets, less calculations required for emulated players from the server. Essentially, yeah, the server does a lot more with players than what we were doing. We were just, taking the ultimate result of a player doing something and shoving it off to all the other servers and then emulating that to players. So less processing needed per player, essentially. So basically what I'm saying is that it's easier for me if we do like a custom warp file that has all the information that's needed in it. But it's easier for the admin or the end user if we use YAML and stick it all into one file, because then they'll be able to more easily edit the file if they really need to. So I'm thinking we do a YAML file again. Yeah. Problem is, I don't think I actually have. If I check this, I'm pretty sure I don't actually have. Oh, I do have configure YAML going on here. What did I do? Oh, that's because I'm using YAML for the death chest. That's right. Yeah, never mind. So yeah, yeah, we can do that. YAML's a terrible database, but for this is actually fine. This is a perfectly fine use of YAML for this particular system. Creating warps is fine with YAML. Do I prefer YAML over JSON? That really depends on the context. It really depends on the context. JSON's great for REST APIs. YAML's great for configuration. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I like this. So very simple warp plugin, like not anything overly complex, but you know, down to basics. This is what we want, right? Do we want to add anything else in to make it extra challenging, or is this going to be enough? Because I'm not. Yeah, Cloud Framework's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, okay. So I'll move this over to the side here. And we will take a look at creating a new project. I like JSON since I'm more familiar with the libraries. Currently storing player data in a JSON file. JSON is more editable, or not JSON, YAML is more editable to the end user. So if I want to edit a YAML file, right, all I have to do is, you know, this essentially, right? So editing a YAML file is super easy. If I want to change the engine type, all I have to do is like MariaDB, right? Easy enough. If I wanted to do this in JSON, it would be kind of a mess. So there's trade-offs, but generally JSON, I prefer JSON for REST APIs. It's easier to parse and there's more libraries around it, but YAML is more user-friendly. Yeah, JSON is a bit complicated for just laying out into a file. All right, so we're gonna go with Java 11 on this, just because that's kind of where the future of Minecraft is headed. Well, the future of Minecraft is now currently Java 11 and will probably soon be Java 15 or greater. That'll be fun to deal with. Yeah, so we got Croto 11, which is fine. And we're gonna name this Warps, because I am very original. Give me my name, Warps. Give it a proper version number here. And we're basically gonna copy and paste all of this, because I don't feel like rewriting it at all. It'll save some time. So we've got, yeah, get you death chests. I guess we can name this just Warps, right? And yes, by the way, if you haven't yet, I have a Discord in the top right, in the description below, or in chat. You should be able to see the Discord link there. Go ahead, join. It's awesome. I mean, I think it's awesome, but it's also my Discord, so you know. But yeah, go ahead and join, and you know, see if you like it. It'd be fun. Got a fair few people joining earlier, so there's more people to chat with now. So yeah, we're just gonna copy this. Literally all I'm doing here is copy pasting this, because I don't feel like rewriting it, and it would take forever to do so. Oop. There we go. Nope. There's people outside. Okay, so we got, we'll relocate things later. Although I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up using, I'm gonna end up using a lot of the same stuff anyway, so probably all of the same stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be using all of the same stuff. Paper API, event chain API, event chain bucket, configure YAML. Annotations, SLF4J API, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna be using all of this. That's okay. So we'll go ahead and project, get this back up. You're hearing things. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Is configure really convenient compared to Snake YAML or the Bukkit configuration system? It is. The configure is awesome. I very much enjoy it. Hello? Are you going to... What? Oh my god. It's just fighting me. It's fine. 3.8.1 does exist. Just pretends it doesn't. Okay. So now, got my source main Java, source main resources. Yep, cool. So yeah, first things first here, we want to create our plugin.yaml, and we will just copy paste that, because that makes it easier. There we go. Name, warps. There we go. Simple warp plugin. Hey, Charles says, I'm finally early. You are. You're on time-esque. You're on time adjacent. Yeah, so we got our plugin.yaml, it's fine. So now we create a package structure, me.negative2.wp for warp, which is the same here, but WP. And we are going to create a warps class. And essentially we're gonna kind of copy paste this as well. Super, like, I'm not, yeah. So we got extends Java plugin. All right, so we've got our logger here. So we're using SLF4J for our logging, which is fine. I really enjoy SLF4J. And we've got our events list. Do we need events? Possibly, because signs. Possibly. Signs. I'm gonna add that in just in case. It's fine. And again, I'm basically just copy pasting our existing code. Onload's gonna have nothing, and on disable and on enable is gonna actually have what we need. And so again, we're using our commented configuration loader. This is the configurate YAML. Okay. And I'm thinking warps. So this is going to be similar to the that chest plugin in its in the actual database structure. So I'm probably going to end up using just copy pasting a lot of this. And so chest events is going to be sign events, and this is going to be instead of databases warps.yaml for database. To me, the word database means please don't edit this file, whereas warps.yaml just makes a bit more sense for this plugin because I want the file to be editable if you really want to, so I want it to be kind of user-friendly. That's the idea here. So, let's see. We started about 8:30, so we're going to say 12:30 is like the absolute limit, the stopping point. And again, we are going to have to add in the cloud command framework here as well, which is fine. But yeah, we're going to do the config loader, warp file util instead of chest file util, get data folder. Config. Then config loader set config loader, config set config, it's fine. Again, warp file util, not chest file util. Load data. So yeah, basically it's the same as the death chest plugin in which we actually want to load warp data instead of just death chest data. A lot of copy paste is essentially what's going to happen here. And then again, just warps disabled, easy enough. So a very simple, basic plugin structure here. Nothing super complicated. And then instead of chest data, we're going to actually do warp data because that would make sense to me, right? So warp data. And then I think, yeah, I did implement serializable. Empty UUID. So what data do we want the warp to hold? We're gonna do the raw name of the warp. We're gonna do the friendly name of the warp, the X, Y, and Z location, and pitch and yaw. Look, yeah, pitch and yaw. So essentially the location, right? I have no idea why I did location and then X, Y, and Z. Uber Superboss says hello. Hello, Uber Superboss. Oh, and thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Why do I have a location and an X, Y, and Z? I think that's because the location is... Yeah, that's right. The location is transient. Right? Oh, nope. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's because... I am confused. Oh, it's because... Yeah, okay, yeah. It is because the location is transient. Okay. That's fine. Okay, so... Yeah, basically in order to make this configurable, we need implements serializable, which basically just says that this is a serializable class. This means that we can take this class, convert it to a string or whatever. Really what it means is we can take this entire class, convert it to a byte array, and then take that byte array and convert it back into the class. That's what serializable essentially means. There's some contracts that you have to fulfill, but generally that's what it means. And so we're going to do config serializable. This is again from configurate, which tells configurate that this is also serializable, because for some reason it doesn't use the serializable implementation. It has its own annotation for that. I'm not sure why. Doesn't make any sense to me. But yes, so we've got a world, a location, or world, XYZ, pitch, yaw, and location. The location is transient because it contains all that actual information. Yes. Yes, okay. So we could use a world index rather than a world name, which would be slightly more efficient, but it wouldn't be as user-friendly. So we want to use world names for that, which is fine. So essentially, yeah, we're going to end up just kind of copy-pasting this, I think, right? Yeah. So we have the world, and then we have our X, Y, and Z, except they're not going to be in our location. Except they're not going to be integers this time, they're going to be doubles, and then we're going to add the pitch and yaw as well. So world, location, double, X, Y, and Z, and then float, pitch, and yaw. Because we want to store the pitch and yaw as well for these warps. And instead of -1, we're actually going to do float.nan. That way if something happens, it really happens. We end up with actual errors rather than weird issues. Basically, we want this, if it fails, we want it to fail hard, because if it fails hard, then we can catch it. And yes, so we're basically creating a bean here. Boop. With a empty constructor, and essentially, yeah, location and player ID and fire time. And we're literally just going to do not null location. Easy enough. Yeah. And again, copy pasting this just for the sake of time mostly. Instead of get block X, it's get X, get Y, and get Z. Just pitch. Don't forget the pitch and yaw, of course. So location dot pitch. And so that's all the information that's contained in a location. So we can essentially serialize and deserialize this location now, which is what we want. And the warp data, so the warp data doesn't just contain the world name and the location though. It's also going to contain the unfriendly name of the warp, the proper name of the warp, and then the friendly name of the warp. So we also need to add in not null string name. And again here, we're gonna give it basically a name. So I'm trying to figure out if this is gonna be okay. So location equals hashcode toString. So this will be the friendly name. The name of the warp will actually be the friendly name of the warp. And then the non-friendly name will actually be the name, but with spaces replaced with underscores and everything lowercase. That should be fine, I think. Yeah. And anything that's not alphanumeric underscore stripped out. That should be fine. That is going to mean that duplicate names, we'll have to handle duplicate names somewhere along the line. So if you name something similar to something else and it strips out whatever, right? Should be fine. It's just, yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's really not gonna happen. I think it'll be fine. I'm trying to figure out why I used chest data with the location. But I'm sure I had my reasons. So yeah, now we have the name, so this dot name equals name. Easy enough. And so now all we're doing is creating this these getters and setters, and finally this get location at the end here, which actually I will just copy. There we go. Yeah, all right. And so we're just going to generate all these getters and setters. Easy enough. Actually, do I have? I do. My editor config. I'm like sitting here going, why is this not? That's why. First and foremost, my editor config, because I like my editor config. There we go. Just have to manually do this for a second. Damn it. All right, there we go. Anima says, how long have you been programming for? A very long time. No, really. I've been programming in Java for only a few years. Only like 3 years maybe now. But I've been programming in I think I've been programming for over a decade now. Way over a decade. Probably closer to 15 years. Maybe 16? Around 15 years, basically, I think. A while. A while is the answer to that. Oh. It keeps telling me to use var. I don't really want to use var. I'm good, thanks. I'm not a JavaScript developer. It's just not my thing. So now all we have to do is the equals, hash code, and toString. Equals and hash code are to basically keep the contracts of the serializable. And not enough fields, blah, blah. Double location. Okay. And the toString is in case I ever want to dump this out for debugging. It's easy enough. It's like 2 seconds to do. Why not do it, right? Oh, I see. I've been programming for Java for like 7 years. Stagnated quite a bit after I stopped making Minecraft plugins. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Minecraft plugins are a fun way of doing it. If R stands superior, no. I mean, you know, you do you, but no. Alright, so we're going to create an events here, just so we can get rid of the all the red. And we're going to create an event holder. There we go. Perfect. So we'll just import that. I understand. I mean, like, so you kind of just have to constantly be using Java or just any programming language or anything in general if you want to keep that skill. It's a use it or lose it mentality, but honestly, it has some truth to it, you know? Did I name this utils or util? Utils, because I'm a genius. A genus. And we're gonna do, instead of chest file util, we're gonna rename this to warp file util. The event holder here is basically, let's go back just 1 second. The event holder here is kind of, as the name implies, an event holder. It holds events. And so basically I'm going to extend this class, create a whole bunch of events in it, or one event maybe, depending on how this goes. But the idea is to create a whole bunch of events that are related. So basically like sign events, any events related to sign interactions, right? Create a whole bunch of events in it and add it to this list. And then at the beginning and end, it goes through all these lists and or all these event holders of different kinds and hits cancel. And cancel basically runs through the list of all the events inside of it and cancels them. Yeah, it is. I feel like I learned a lot from Minecraft, but I didn't dive any deeper. Basically, only felt like I learned how to make objects and store them. I mean, it's a good start, right? Why not? It's just either know that I use them in Java. Yeah, var is weird, man. var is weird. I'll have to do a collection provider as well, which is fine. I was never got a chance to use interface or abstract classes. If you use if you use if you do Bukkit plugins, you'll definitely do more Bukkit plugins, and you'll definitely use a lot of interfaces and abstract classes. Definitely. Modern Java I keep saying modern Java. Modern Minecraft it's one of those things that it's going to be a lot of abstracts and interfaces and things. I just copied it, yeah. Well, copy-paste programming works. It's just you're not going to learn anything from it. Yeah, Minecraft plugins is just a lot of fun. it's a fun way to learn Java or to practice Java, right? Because if you screw up, instead of a number coming out wrong, you launch a cow into space. Okay, so we're going to, git config. This is fine. So basically what we're doing here is we're creating the parent directory structure in the actual file on disk for the database, the warps. And in the config, we're actually going to rename this, or not rename this. We're adding a header to the file now. We're saying, like, you know, when we create this file, we want to give it a header, a comment at the top that just says something. We're gonna say it says warp data. I don't know. Figure it out. Alright, so save data, and we're gonna actually pass in the warp data instead of the chest data. Oop. Easy enough. Config.node locations. We're gonna end up modifying this actually, but maybe we are. Yeah, we're gonna end up modifying this. I'm kind of trying to think of a file structure in my head, you know. So, load data, list of warp data. Okay. So I'm thinking the file structure for the warp data should be something along the lines of warps, and then no, not a list. It'll be warp 1, right? Or yeah. It won't be like warp 1. It'll actually be like let's say you create a warp called spawn, right? So spawn, and then spawn will have, what was it? It was name spawn world x 0 y z. I'm just making up values, I don't care. Pitch and yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking, right? So you have another, like, oh my god. There we go. So we have, you know, basically these other, let's say instead of spawn, it's going to be like shop, right? So we'll do shop. So you get what I'm going for here. So it's not going to be a list then. No, it's not going to be a list. We're going to have to like do get children and things, which will be fine. Charles says, or you smash your face into a wall trying to figure out why your vectors aren't working. Someone tells you didn't call the event on enable. I know, right? That too. That happens a lot. Is there a reason you use not null so frequently? Personally, assume everything is not null and anything null will be annotated with nullable. It's for IDE. It's not for me. It's for the IDE, which ultimately is for me. The reason I use not null and null on everything is so that way the IDE knows what's null and not null, and then when I do something dumb, it will yell at me, because the IDE makes no assumptions whether null or not null if you don't have the annotations there. So if you pass a nullable, or if you pass a null value to, say, remove location, right? If you pass null values to this, the IDE will tell you nothing. It will assume you know what you're doing, and it won't actually tell you you did something wrong. But if you annotate these not null, then suddenly it'll yell at you and say, you know, hey, you're passing a null value to a not null thing. It's for the ID, which ultimately is for me. Okay, so basically we've got our kind of file structure here for the warps. I mean, it looks halfway decent. It looks okay, right? So the way we're going to be doing this is we have our get config here, which is fine. There we go. Our get config here is fine. Our load config is fine. Our save data is going to be slightly different. So instead of a list, we're actually not going to be using lists at all for this. We're actually going to be using a map list, which is going to be, I could just pull a map, but that's not the way I really want to do it. So we're going to start off with config.node, and we're going to do warps, because that's, you know, here's our first node. Our first node is warps. So config.node warps dot get children, or children list, children map. Yeah, that's what it is, children map. And so this will give us a map of the children and their configuration nodes. So it'll just give us a string, which is the child name, and then a configuration node, which is all the rest of this. Well, essentially it's the configuration node is this. So that'll be fine. You can actually see the children map here is returning a map of object and then not sure why it's object. I think there's a reason for it. I can't quite remember. It's something funky to do with the way YAML works. But yeah, so if you look at children map, yeah. So it returns a list of configuration nodes and then the object keys, the names. So children map. In fact, I'm going to do this in load data because it's easier for me to think about loading data first and then saving data. So loading data, we're actually going to go into the warps node and then get the children from that node. And the children, I'm going to do entry set. So we're going to do for map.entry, right? It'll be object. And then what was the second one? It was, no, this key value pair. This comes from my C++ days. Key value pair is object n, and n is the scoped configuration node. It's actually going to be commented configuration node, pretty sure. Yeah, in this case. So we have our KVP, and the key will be the actual name of the warp, and then the value will be the node, the warp data. Easy enough, I think. Pretty sure. So, warp data location. Oh, this is remove location. Hang on a minute. Load data, Jesus. I really need to load data. There we go. And we need the collection provider as well. Services, yeah. And our collection provider is essentially, it's essentially a static graveyard just with a fancier name. It's really not, yeah. Static graveyards are kind of frowned upon in object-oriented programming. So you make these providers instead, which are essentially static graveyards just with a fancy name slapped on them. Whatever. So we're going to name this warp data and not chest data because this is warp data. There we go. And so basically we have just this list of warp data. In fact, it's not even going to be a map. Is it going to be a map? It's going to be a map, right? I will figure it out. We're gonna go back to the get warp file util. I'm going back and forth here a lot, but it's kind of the way it works sometimes. I want to figure out how to load this data first, and I want to figure out basically what I'm going to get at the end of this loaded data. So we have our KVP, and our key is actually a string. It's always going to be a string in our case. String name. Get key. And cast it to a string. There we go. Oop. So we have our warp name now, our friendly, or our programming friendly name, right? Our friendly name is actually inside the warp data still. And so I need to figure out a way to turn this comment configuration node into warp data, right? Yes. Yes. So spawn, I'm looking at the warp configuration here. So I'm thinking, trying to remember how to deserialize this essentially. So big node, children map, dot, put entry set, repeat if absent, get word default, merge. Oh. Contains value, and this is actually just a straight up map, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So it means I'm gonna have to figure out how to turn comment configuration node into a value. Get list, get, I think get gonna be my best bet here. Yeah. Because the value is actually the node. Yeah. This would make sense. So get, and honestly, it's just gonna be warp data.class. So our warp data equals. So there we go. We've got our programming friendly name, and then the warp data, which contains our location and the name of the warp, essentially. The friendly name of the warp. So that should be fine. Yeah, and so we're running through all the warps in there, and then we basically go through the collection provider, and not get chest data, get warp data. Warp data. And is it gonna need to be, we don't need to remove by location, we need to remove by name. So instead of removing by location, or instead of storing it by location, it's actually gonna be a map of not location, but of string. I can think. String. So yeah, our warp data is by string. Config loader, config, that's fine. Okay. That should be okay, I think. So warp data dot put, right, yeah. Name and data. And in fact, we don't even need our name. Just do, oop, save ourselves a line there. Whatever. Okay, so now we've got our warps. And that should be it, I think. That seems like it would be it. We're gonna remove name, which means instead of location, we're gonna do string name. And so if we want to remove our name, we have to, it's actually much easier. We just do config node warps dot remove child name. Easy enough. Just making sure that this is it. Oh, and can't forget to loader.save config. And boolean if. So this returns a boolean that says whether or not the remove was successful. So if the remove was successful, if it actually removed data, then save the config. Yep, cool. Easy enough. And save data. So this is the last thing that we need to do, because warp data, yeah. So we need to create the programming friendly name from the actual name of the warp data. So we do data name. So this is the friendly name, the name that people will actually see. String name equals data.getName dot place all, which will be not, it will be not A to Z 0 to 9 underscore with blank. There we go. Yes. Okay. And dash, underscore dash. And then dot replace all S plus with underscore. Okay. So basically we're saying like get the friendly name of the warp and replace any spaces or tabs with underscores. Yeah, replace any spaces or tabs with a single underscore. And then replace anything that isn't underscores, dashes, 0 through 9 or A through Z with nothing. Basically remove it. So this will get us our programming friendly name. Oh, and then also to lowercase. So dot to yeah, I guess to lowercase. So this will transform it to a lowercase name. So that's our programming friendly name is essentially what we've got out of this. And yep, that should be fine. And now we remove the child if it exists already. Just thinking, how do we want to handle like duplicate names, right? So if we end up with a duplicate friendly or a duplicate programming name, right? We want to just replace the old warp. Let's say yes for now. Oh, sorry. Let's say yes for now. Let's just say like, you know, fuck it, toss the old one, set the new one. So it's going to be config node warps dot actually going to be config node warps name dot set or put. I don't remember if set list. No, it's just set. And then object value, set type, class. Object value, yeah, set warp data dot class data. Charles says, why not throw a prompt in there, then run the command again to override it? Nope. We've got 4 hours to do this. That's why. Oh, and yes, of course, we need to loader.save config. There we go. All right, cool. So now we got everything we need in there. That's fine. Yep, so save. We can save the warp data. We can remove the name, or we can remove warp data by name. We can add or modify warp data by name. And we can load all the data. That's all we need, I think. Excellent. And we'll collection provider. Excellent. So we're gonna do signed events here, and we're gonna make it extend event holder And public sign events. Not null. Plugin. We're gonna leave this empty for now, because again, I'm not sure that we're gonna get to signs, but we can give it a shot. And now the easy part is done. Basically, we have a way to load and save warp data to a file. So that's the easy part done. The hard part now is getting Cloud Framework in here. So what we're gonna do there we go. All right. So yeah, now we've got Cloud. We'll go ahead and just add it in. Says as if it was that easy. There it is. Release builds are available through the Maven Central. Okay. So yeah. So we're gonna do Cloud Platform. It's gonna be Cloud Bukkit, I think, is our. So we got our events. Now we've got our commands. So Cloud dash Bukkit. I'm gonna guess. Yep. All right. So Cloud Bukkit works. Cloud annotations I don't need. And there's more here to it actually. Not Java docs. Oh, yeah. Cloud annotations, Cloud Bukkit, Brigadier. That's what it is, Brigadier. Yeah. Or Cloud, I think it's actually, it's not even Cloud Bukkit. It's going to be Cloud Velocity, Minecraft Extras, JDA, Paper. That's what it is, Paper, Cloud Paper. And also Cloud Brigadier. Because we might end up, we're probably going to end up using Brigadier in this plugin. Because we're fancy like that. There we go. So yeah, we got our Cloud Core, or Cloud Paper in this case. Modules, blah, Command Manager, here it is. So Cloud Bukkit, that's fine. Command Manager, Function Identity, yeah. So all we really want to do here is on enable. On enable? Okay, so Cloud doesn't really reload very well, so I'm actually going to add this into the onload. Hey look, finally a use for the onload. And our collection provider is going to also hold our reference to our command manager. Yeah. So public static atomic reference command manager. Oh, I need to, yeah. Like, why isn't it loading this? Command manager. Okay, hello? Command sender. Command manager. There we go. It's paper command manager. Command manager. There we go. So unning plugin is this. Asynchronous command execution coordinator. It's fine. Function identity. I don't know why that's a go. Cannot for argument sounds because we have there. Wait. Oh, it's an unhidden exception. That's fine. Catch. I'll figure it out in a second. Oop. Error x dot message. It's actually not. It's class. Class. Name. So same as is down here. Message, and then actual exception down here, and we're going to return. Okay, command tree. I'm glad that, you know, copy pasting code off of this example definitely works. Just the first time it works. The documentation needs a little help. All right, so cloud buckets, manager sender, and manager. Yeah, can't infer the command sender from the argument. Remember exactly why. And I don't think it's new builder build. I think it's... I think it is. It is. Maybe it is, okay. So function command tree object provided object center. Because this needs to be generified, I think. Oops. There we go. And now this finally has its arguments inferred. Okay. It's because this was necessary, this command sender. So they need to change this to remove this comma here. And then in this new builder, right before here, they need a command sender. A generic argument type. I remember how this works, vaguely. Yeah. Okay. If they want it to work, copy paste, which I'm sure they do. So that'll give us our actual, yeah, it's fine. Argument types. We're gonna have to do command builders later. That's fine. In fact, what we're actually gonna have here is a collection provider. Is this atomic reference? Get butter. Okay, yeah. Manager for command sender. Get what is it? Command manager? And this returns a not null value. Private. Command manager is a new atomic reference. There we go. Easy enough. So now we're able to set that to be a new command manager, which means collection provider command manager sets. Yeah, there we go. Alright, cool. So now we have our command manager set and our collection provider. It's not really a collection provider anymore, is it? It's more of a generic general provider of things, whatever. It's fine. Right. And now we have to load the commands. And so I'm thinking... Yeah. We'll figure that out in a second. Actually, we need to... Not this. Not you. Not you. Suggestions. You crossing exception handling. Oh yes, exception handling. Pygnian says, wow, I haven't joined one of these streams in so long. I know, it's been a while since I've done these kinds of streams. I'm sorry. It's been a while. Kyle says, I have to go to work in my house. He'll definitely be done streaming by the time I get back, so good luck with the rest of the stream. Take care. Enjoy. Don't have too much fun. Alright, so handle exception. Exception handle by register exception handler. That's right. Okay. So we're gonna want to actually do paper command manager. Manager equals and set manager. Command sender. There we go. And so the manager, brigadier manager, tracing completions, Mr. Brigadier, tracing completions. All right, so command builder, nope. I need commands. What was it? It was register exception handler. That's what it was. Exception handler for the class. Override exception handler. Yeah. I think it is handle exception. Register exception handler. Help handler, help exception handler. So register exception handler, and we just want exception.class. So basically any thrown exception we want to log. And this is by consumer command sender exception. Oh, that's what it is. So consumer x. Oops. And so we'll just say logger dot error. Consumer get name. It's consumer. Is there a class that I can do? Bukkit server message. Hang on a minute. Oh, it's the command sender. C is the command sender. C. So S, and actually it's just going to be x dot get class dot name plus x message then x, and the sender we're going to say like send message. Oh, that's right. Send message component. It's going to be component dot of dot text, and color, text color gonna be int value or RGB like just from hex string, I think, or just do RGB like. Color just feed like. I guess from CSS hex string. Yeah. And we'll just say like internal or record. I can spell. And the CSS string will be, it's our color wheel here. There we go. Not you, you. Okay, oh. Google actually has like a color picker. We're gonna go like red. Like, do you like red? Something like that works. Perfect. Easy enough, right? Okay. So now we've got our exception handler. It's fine. Confirmations. Notations. Method, argument, flag. Description, regex. Objects and services. Builder modifiers. Nope. Platforms, buckets. Okay, so here we go. Commodore. Use Commodore included as a dependency. Register Brigadier. Okay. Boop. I cannot remember if Commodore is required for Brigadier. I think it is. So we're going to add that as a dependency as well. Okay. Is this register Brigadier? Throws Brigadier failure exception. Okay. So we're going to do Brigadier failure exception. And in fact, we're just going to do it up here. That makes more sense to me. Illegal state exception. And this probably doesn't throw an exception. Yeah. Cool. Synchronous. Great capability. But we're assuming we're running paper here. Sponge, fabric, Minecraft extras. Extras basically just uses adventure. Adventure API. But I don't want that at the moment. Yeah, it's literally just going to be Minecraft exception handler, Minecraft help, Brigadier. Yeah, that's right. So I probably don't actually need Commodore, but whatever. All right. Documentation kind of skimmed through, but generally this should work fine. And yeah, now we have to commands. We have to create our commands because we have to actually set warps, right? Somehow we have to set warps. So we're going to load commands. Literally just calling a method called load commands. And yeah, that's fine. Private void load commands. There we go. So here's where we actually load our commands. We're actually just going to pass the manager in because, yeah, why not? Go to not null manager. Okay, so now we have our manager, and so we're going to do manager.register, or is it? It's command. Yeah, so we're going to create our command builder now. And meta aliases, meta argument description. So name, description, and alias is what I'm going for. Yeah. So our name is going to be this, and an argument description. We'll do of something, and then aliases. So our builder is going to start out with the name's going to be, what should it be? It should be so create warp, delete warp, and warp, right? Change warp, modify warp, something like that. So create warp. Yeah, create warp. And aliases will be nothing at the moment. And our description will be create a warp at the current location. Okay, yeah. And then we're gonna add arguments to it. So argument. And argument builder class. Probably gonna be a builder command sender description. Pair triplets. Yeah, it's just gonna be a argument builder. Builder. Let's see how to create arguments here for a second. All right, going back to the documentation. Arguments, argument types. Builder, literal. Builder. Manager. Commands, argument types, literals. Builder.literal description of. Right, yeah. String argument. Oh, that's what it is. String argument. Versus like whatever else, yeah. So argument, string argument. Dot of quoted single string mode. So it's gonna be basically we're gonna say like the command should be create warp and then give it a name, right? And so we probably want greedy. Yeah, we want greedy because it's just going to consume everything. So it's going to be like create warp and then you give it a name of whatever length you want. And so argument description of and then build, right? Okay, and we're gonna have to manager that command. There we go. All right, so we're basically adding a new command, and using a builder for it. And yeah, we're new builder. We're naming it create warp, and then we're saying like create a warp at the current location. Argument is going to be string argument greedy. It's going to be name warp name, and then yeah. So we have a warp and giving it a name, and the name can be like as long as you want, with as many spaces as you want, whatever name you want. Give it like any name. Yes, and then it'll automatically translate that to programming friendly name. That's fine. So now we need a handler, I think, right? Yeah, handler. So put a handler and an execution handler. command sender. So sender. And here's our handler. Easy enough. And so what this will do is create a warp. So we go to warp file util, right? Yeah. So we save data. So we're going to actually create warp data. So warp data equals new warp data. And I think this time we're actually going to do a location and a name. Yeah, that's correct. So one thing we want to make sure is the sender isn't like a console or something. Basically, we need to make sure the sender has a location to give, right? So we're gonna do create warp. So sender if this instance of entity console command sender if cast does s dot actually context. That's right. We're getting a context dot sender, I think. Sure. And we'll return here because we're actually going to give them an error essentially. C dot sender dot send message component dot text and give it an error color. Same error colors as up here. Console cannot create. There we go. Easy enough. Just basically saying, hey, console, you can't make warps. You need to be in game. And so, yeah, I'm seeing c.sender. So it's entity, I think is what we're going for. Entity. Because eventually we're going to cast this to an entity down here. So we want to just make sure that it is an entity. Because entities have locations. Get location. Because there's really only like console and entity. Like an entity can send a command and the console can send a command. But just in case something weird happens, we just want to say, like, instead of if it's an instance of console, do this. We want to say if it's not an instance of entity, do this. And so we'll give it the name of c.get. And it's going to be the name. This is our context again. So our context get name. So get a required argument from the context. So the required argument is the name. Easy enough. So set data, and save data. Oh, and we got to do. That's right. Collection provider dot config collection provider config loader. Yep, and we gotta surround that with try catch. And logger dot error x dot class name plus colon plus x message and exception. And we return because we're going to send a message again to the sender. It says internal error occurred, I think, yeah. Internal. And now we're going to send a message using like a green for go, right? For go. green for go. We'll just give it that color. That works. And we're gonna say warp created. There we go. All right, so now we have a thing that says console can create warps because we have the location of the sender essentially. Yeah, so that'll be the X, Y, Z, and pitch and yaw of the actual command sender, the command issuer. Easy enough, right? And so now we actually have a warp. The one thing I just want to make sure of, I don't think... Yeah, it just saves the data to the file. We're actually going to have to add it to the warp thing as well. So collection provider get warp data dot put string key and warp data value. So data is the value. And with save data, I think I'm actually going to do string name and name equals. So we actually have the name returned to us. So that's important. So this will return string, a not null string specifically, and returns the name. So basically we're generating the name here, and then we're returning that at the end. And so the name will be consistent. I could, copy and paste that line, but duplicated code is bad code. So we're just basically getting the name from the save data here, and we're putting it in our collection provider. Enough. So now we actually have the warp in the collection provider. And we create another command, so we're gonna have to create another command that actually deletes the warp, and finally a third command that performs the warp, right? Another thing we're gonna have to do is check for permission nodes, but that'll be... and in fact, actually, we can do that now. The context sender permission node has permission, and we'll do, I don't know, wp.admin. There we go. So if, if the player doesn't have the admin permission, then we send them a message in return. It's going to say, do not have permission to perform this. In fact, I wonder if cloud... Yep, it does. Cool. Never mind, we don't even need this. It's literally... And I wonder if it has argument role manager sender type. Yep. There we go. So we can get rid of this too. Cloud Command Framework is so awesome. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, specify required sender type. So, oh, and actually we're gonna, yeah, okay, works. So yeah, we have our required permission, our required sender type. So we didn't even have to create that manual, like, hey, if you're not a console. Cool. Yay, look at that, beautiful. Alright, and now we create a delete command. So create warp. We're actually going to give it an alias add warp as well. And remove warp. We're going to do like delete warp, del warp, and delete warp. It makes sense, right? Makes sense to me. And so this is also going to have command completion with it. And it's not going to be greedy, it's actually going to be just single. And the sender type doesn't actually have to be an entity anymore for this. You can delete warps via console, is what I'm saying. Because that makes sense, right? And so this doesn't need to be here. Oh. Dots remove name. It's literally just going to be rc.get. And move. We're going to say if the remove was successful, then say the warp was removed. Easy enough? Easy enough. Easy enough. It should be a string, and if it isn't, then casting will fail, which is what we want. Create a warp at the current location, remove a warp by name. And actually, we're going to, so argument, and we're going to, got how to do, we're gonna have to figure out how to do suggestions. Suggestions, completions. Is it just suggestions? That's no, completions. I wonder if it's. Hang on. Hey, Celeste says, hey, how's it going? Suggestions? Yeah, suggest, that's what it is. So, dot suggest. String input list string. I don't quite understand. I'm gonna have to figure this out. I've done suggestions through the Cloud Command Framework before. So suggestions, right? That's suggestion method, suggestions. Contact string. Suggestion processor. Hit command suggestion processor. Apply. Oh, I'm wondering if it's just set command suggestion processor. Command sender. So command suggestion processor. Command argument. Hold it there. Permission, handlers, sender type, arguments. Oh, it's because argument has, hang on, dot argument, right? So the argument actually has the command suggestion, which would make sense. Here, arguments, description. Dot trying to find the dot single dot suggestion provider. That's what it is, yeah. Dot suggestion provider. Dot why? I'm probably gonna need string argument dot builder and string dot again. Is it dot new builder? It's dot builder or is it builder? Of new builder name single dot with suggestion provider. There we go. Ikebin says hi, and Lojo says hi. Hi. We're making a suggestion provider for this remove warp thing. Okay, so now we actually have the command. It's a by function with the context and a string and returns a list. Got it. Yeah. So it'll be this, and then we'll just do like warp names. Name suggestions, and which means this will have to be easy enough. So we do private list string warp name suggestions. String. And yeah, it takes could have just done that. It's much easier. So context, command context, command sender, string input, I think is what we're doing. Suggestion provider. Check. Center. Oh, it's because we. There. Not here. Here. Hello? Nope. There. There. Yep, there it is. Somewhere along the line, you need a generic command sender here. Okay. So yeah, now we have our warp name suggestions, and basically this, I think it's the input. Main context string by function. Yeah. Okay, so we have our command or our context, and then the input for whatever it ends up being. So essentially it just means that I'm gonna have to do list string now equals new array list return right now, and for collection provider warp data, in fact, yeah. Okay, yeah. Dot get warp data dot key set string name enough. If input they use non-null instead of not null, which is the checker framework, but they both work fine. Yeah, they both work. If input dot is empty, or is blank, I guess. It's empty. If input is empty, is blank. I keep going back to is empty because it's Java 8. Or name, yeah, name dot starts with input dot to lowercase. Trying to think, because we're loading the data in warp file util get warp data class. Okay, string key. It's gonna be dot to lowercase replace all, replace all. There we go. Okay. Name starts with 2 lowercase, then red val, add name. That should be easy enough. That should work, I think. Let's see. Okay, so we got to remove warp, and finally we need to actually, have like our warp. Which means that we can't use the dot permission here. We're gonna have to, because it's gonna be per warp permissions, we're gonna have to get the name of the warp first, and then we'll, yeah. Oh, and we'll want a list warps command, right? So, possibly signs, list commands for creating, deleting, modifying, and going to warps, modifying, listing, and going to warps. So we have creating and deleting. And then I just want one to go to a warp, just to make sure that that also works. That should work though. So we'll just do warp. And I can't think of any aliases to give it just yet, so I'm gonna go with nothing at the moment. Maybe warp 2. I don't know, whatever. And again, we're going to do warp name suggestions, but we're going to do the friendly name, I think. Remove warp by name. I think we should actually just do friendly names all the way through. So we'll do greedy and warp name suggestions. We're going to do, instead of, we're going to do value set values. So warp data, warp, or just data. Actually, I keep going back and forth on this. We're going to do an entry set, and here's why. I'll tell you in a second. So entry dot map dot entry, and it'll be string warp data. So if input is blank, kvp, or kvp dot key starts with put to lowercase. Yep, add kvp.key. If kvp.value.name starts with input dot to lowercase, starts with input to lowercase. String input lower. Actually, honestly, you can just do input equals input to lowercase. That works. We don't even need these anymore. And now add kvp dot value. Right, that works. So we're gonna do like, warp to name. We can do either friendly name or unfriendly name. Doesn't matter. So we're gonna do a greedy match on this as well. Warp name suggestions. And go to warp by name. And we'll do permission. If does permission have anything? Command permission, predicate permission. Looks like there's actually more stuff that we can do. So command permission. Command permission. New command permission? Get permissions. Probably not quite what I want. Is permission context, right? A predicate permission. Okay, so what are the... Okay, doing that. So, suggestions, command, proxies, permissions. All right. Oh. Fuck. Okay. Well, to do. Good. All right, so I guess I'm gonna develop my own permission thing here, which is fine. So if the context sender dot has permission, what is it? WP dot warp dot, and then basically we're getting the name of the warp, right? Yeah, plus the context dot get string. And honestly, that's, yeah. So if has permission, not has permission. And I think we actually throw a new, I'm remembering this, permission, no permission exception. Yeah, that's right. No permission exception. Missing permission is this was the command sender. Okay, so C sender, and then chain. So we're gonna do this, I think. Current chain. Fire type. Oh, okay. Command collection. No permission exception. Exception. Okay. So we're gonna have to do a little searching on here, I think. So no permission exception. Find out how the command framework like handles instance of. That's no permission. Take a look at the class real fast, but also. Oh wait, builder. Default component builder for no permission exception. Okay. That would also help. Oh, Minecraft extras. Exception. New null exception. Take a look at that as well. Okay. So in here is where they actually construct a no permission exception. Actually look at it here. So new no permission exception. Jesus. Permission. So the permission is actually passed in, I think, right? Yeah. Permission, this is permitted. Oh, I see. Permission, sender, chain. Okay. Chain. So it would be C dot chain. Okay. Nope. Dot chain to and tree. Okay, to figure that out. Actually, this kind of figured it out for me. Default invalid syntax and center. No permission. Component.text. No permission exception. Default component builder for no permission exception. Oh, never mind. Permission handler. There's permission exception. Yeah, that's handlers. And then the actual no permission exception itself is permission. Okay. Bit of a pain in the butt, but why is it saying I need the that's interesting. Oh, it's never mind, it's the actual like exception itself. Yeah, so command permission, and this actually fills it in with is permitted. Sender. Angel says, I'm hungry. Yeah, me too. Command permission. So context permission, permitted, or default. Oh, looks like context has pretty much nothing, unfortunately. Which does suck. For default, getter supply default as map. That sucks a little. Story. There's nothing there. I would love to create a new no permission exception. I'm not seeing anything that has that. No permission exception. Nope. Okay, so it looks like I'm not going to do that. I don't have. All right, well, it's worth a shot. I guess I'll just send them an error. Oop, and return. You do not have permission to run this command to warp to this area. There we go. There we go. Whatever, I guess we're going custom on that. It's fine. Okay, so internal error, and then we're not removing anything, we're literally just going to the warp. That means we need to get so warp data. If data is null, we send them an error. What is this plugin supposed to do? It's a warp plugin, so basically it's just going to warp players to locations. So you're going to be able to create warps, like points, warp points, and then give them a name, and then other people can warp to those points. Easy enough, right? Warp does not exist. And finally, we're going to actually warp them to the place. So get sender, and we're going to have to do living entity, aren't we? Teleport. Oh. I think we're going to have to do a living entity. Oh no. Go figure. Teleport cause. Teleport async. Sorry. Teleport async to location. So data dot location. Teleport cause. Command plugin. And yep, that's correct. Okay, so now we have a way to add a warp, remove a warp, and go to a warp. So hopefully this works. Let's find out. Which also means I gotta spin up my server here. Servers. Trying to find my servers here. Getting there, damn it. Okay, here's the server I was playing on earlier. So we're gonna do hold and clean package. Gotta go to the plugin. Okay, so here's the plugin folder. We got our targets and warps. Cool. Just out of curiosity. Okay, so we're gonna have to like on Mojang Brigadier, yeah. We're gonna have to move some things, but it's not too bad. We'll deal with that in a bit. So we're gonna use BioTools, Luck Perms, and Spark. Spark isn't actually necessary for this, but we're gonna use BioTools and Luck Perms. So I'm gonna have to log into Minecraft. Okay, I was like, did I open the wrong thing? Nope. Oh. Legal plugin something something something. I have to figure that out. Ugh. Okay, plugin attempted to register Cloud Bukkit listener while not enabled. Oh, I see. It can't be in the on mode, it has to be on the on enable. What a pain. Yeah. So we're actually gonna have to move this over to on enable. Alright, so we'll reclean, repackage. And this is why I use BioTools, by the way. Because now I can just go back to my Warps plugin and put it back. There we go. Yep, cool. Loading Warps. Warps loaded. Yay. Warps enabled. Okay, so we should see. Well, that's not a good sign. It may be because of Brigadier, actually. So let's go ahead and stop the server and start it back up again. It's also raining for the upteenth time. It's always raining in Minecraft. Always raining. Constantly raining. Let's see if it registers Brigadier this time. It should, yeah. Okay. Yep, cool. So now we have add warp. Create warp name. So we'll do test warp. Warp created. Cool. Now I don't have a warp list yet, so I'm gonna have to go into 1.16.5 warps, warps.yaml, and look at that. Awesome. Test warp. Name test warp, world, blah, blah. Cool. So if I do warp. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was like, huh, does that make sense? It kind of does. It's not the way I envisioned it, but it kind of makes sense. I'm gonna have to figure that out, but so far so good-ish. Angel says, no way to donate. How am I supposed to show people that I'm the most supportive girlfriend if I can't give you money? There is a way to donate. It is egg82.live. That is the best way to donate. And also, a good way to show support if you don't want to donate is in the upper right hand. You have that discord.gg link. It's also in the description below and in the chat if you want to check that out. That is my Discord. You can come chat with us. Lots of people have joined. It's awesome. Come have fun. You want to show support without donating. Got our ad. So I'm gonna say, right. If the input is not blank, and so that'll actually get rid of the warp names without. And I'm wondering if I should just switch these. I think I should switch these. Okay, so basically it's gonna prioritize the friendly names over the non-friendly names. Anyway, asynchronous chunk map distance, add priority tickets. Interesting. Yeah, we get in trouble in the Discord sometimes. I get yelled at for adding people. Well, you know, don't add everyone. Okay, so asynchronous chunk map distance add priority should be okay. Am I missing something with the teleporting sync? Teleporting sync loads, generates a chunk asynchronously, then teleports the entity to when that chunk is ready. That's interesting. That's very interesting. It has a completable future. Huh. I think that's a bug in paper. I think we've discovered a paper bug. Well, we can't really fix that in our 4 hours. So what we're gonna have to do is do a teleport instead of a teleport async, which is gonna synchronously load everything. But yeah, let me very quickly send this off to the paper support guys. And then there we go. All right, send it off to them just in case they would like to see it. They might, who knows. Okay, and while we do that, let's temporarily fix our problem here by simply, using teleport instead of teleport async. Maybe I'm just using it wrong. It's possible, but I don't think I am. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to do that. Also means that since it's Brigadier, we're gonna have to actually unload and load the server every time we create a new thing. Is it just me or does the music sound spooky? It's spoopy. Spoopy music. It's not spoopy. It's fine. I'm like just opened up the wrong thing. Okay. Let's try that one more time, this time with feeling and more luck. Require more luck. Okay. Oh. Now we've got a... Alright, let's see. An issue loading things. And a snaky. We've got a snaky. This is Sneck. It's from it's from Razer. So I don't know if you've so Razer is a keyboard mouse manufacturer, right? And also chair now, and also Sneck now as well. This is the Razer Sneck. This is like the official Razer Sneck. Razer Sneck would like to say hello, I think. It's very adorable, I have to admit. Okay. Oh yeah, Razer Sneck is actually has a tail. You can unvelcro. Yeah, Razer Sneck is fun. Enjoy. So we have okay. Serialization value. So the value that it gave is out of the range of a float. So I'm wondering what we just did wrong here. So let's see. We have, this is the chest. Take a look at our warp data. Float, man. Get pitch, get yaw. That should be okay. Now, it is using float. Oh, there's GG as well. GG is the cat that usually sits on stream. So, okay, interesting. So the location get pitch, for some reason, is out of the bounds of a float. I'm kind of confused because actually that's correct. That pitch is way off. It shouldn't be that way. And the kittens. We have many stuffed animals. I'm wondering if I did something wrong with the serialization and the bear. I'm wondering if I did something wrong with the serialization. Where the bear says hello. There are a lot of stuff in animals that we have. And a Chelsea. and a Chelsea. So I'm wondering, okay, location, get role, get name, X, Y, and Z, right? We have the pitch and the yaw. The yaw seems fine, but the pitch for some reason is e to the -4. And so this means we're moving this decimal point over 4 spots. So it's like -0.00002, I think, is what it... Oh. Okay. I have all this stuff sent and animals. This is a lot. There's a lot of animals. XYZ is fine. The pitch, I guess the pitch isn't actually that far off because, yeah, moving the decimal point over 2 places, it's 0.00, but it shouldn't be out of bounds for a float. Doesn't make any sense to me. I wonder if, is the pitch in the yaw actually floats? Get pitch, get yaw. Yeah, these are actually floats. Float pitch. Get pitch. Set pitch and set yaw. Yep, these are all floats. Okay, so it should be using floats. In theory, right? In theory, this should be floats. But apparently not. That's weird. Warps, test warp, and pitch. Okay, so yeah. Value is that float. Interesting. Angel says smile. Okay. I think I am smiling. I think. I'm mostly trying to figure out why setting a float to a YAML file and then getting that oh no. Getting that float back is causing issues.
What happened?
They fell.
They fell or you made them fall?
There we go. So that is interesting. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I guess one of the things that we can do, if we want like a super hacky fix, right? I think the hackiest fix is to use doubles instead of floats. I don't really want to. And also I'm using floats instead of doubles here. That doesn't matter. Interesting. Get pitch and get yaw. Let's just try, let's see what Google comes up with. Wonder if there's an actual thing. Nope. I mean, that's whatever. I get what the error means, but why is it giving me such a weird number? Is the real question. Ah, interesting. So, okay. Let's just try setting a new warp, or resetting the same warp, I think. And add warp, right? Then test warp. Okay. So now if I reload, okay, so the pitch and yaw are actually normal now. Normal. And I'm thinking it would probably be best to, well, we'll see. All right, let's just try teleporting to it. Hey, look at that, we have a test warp. Warp does not exist. Well, we'll have to figure that out. Why doesn't the warp exist? Oh, okay. Let's actually try doing like test underscore warp, right? Oh, right. Okay. Internal error occurred. Okay, what's the internal error this time? Player teleport event may only be triggered synchronously. Oh, because we're using an asynchronous event dispatcher thing, right? So, okay. So we have to, yeah. In our warps here, we're gonna have to, is not safe to be called off the main thread. That's right. That's what our actual error is. So, in reality, our teleport async, or our teleport, is being triggered asynchronously because of the paper asynchronous brigadier thing. One of those is causing it to causing these to be called asynchronously. So we actually need to get context and crap. I can't remember how threading works. I think it's in the, sure, it's in the documentation. Control suggestions, injection points, coordinators. Platforms, Discord. I think it's coordinators, maybe? To do. Fuck. Command manager. String argument, integer argument, float argument. Suggestions, pre-processing, post-processing, extra wrappers, IRC glossary. Okay, so what is it? It's not asynchronous completions, it's extras? It's not extras. Maybe it is extras actually. Let me double check anti-VPN. How do I do it in anti-VPN? How do I do... it's not contexts, it's... Crap. Commands... Argument, handler, permission, literal... it's in the internal, that's right. Reload? Reload. Yeah. Task recipe. That's what it is. Task recipe. Oh, it's the manager. That's right. So manager task recipe. Begin? The begin? Yeah, begin with the context. Dot synchronous. Yes, that's right. So there we go. With the same context. It's literally the same context. Oops. C2, there we go. And then we have to execute it at the end. That's right. There we go. Perfect. That works. Actually, useless. It's not useless. Okay. Anyway. Teleport async, that should be fine. And then also we have to figure out where, what was it? Warp does not exist. That's right. It's because warp does not exist. It's because we're straight up just getting it from the game. Which means that if we're gonna have to, if that's null, then we do for, is it? For book data, B, I guess, instead of data. B, collection provider, book data dot values. So we're going through the actual values and getting the friendly names. So data B dot get name. If actually let's do string that equals signal case name data equals D and then break. So basically we found the, yeah, if data is null, then send the message. Also means we need to finally warp data final, or we just break this out into its own warp data get warp name. So private Warp data. Get warp. Not null string name. And it returns a not null. No, it returns a nullable value. That's right. And instead of data, it's going to be retval, just to kind of separate that. Return D. Yeah. Easy enough. He says. Alright, so warp doesn't exist. Okay, so now we actually have like the warp. And we're only using the friendly names anyway. And then now we're actually teleporting from a synchronous thread thing. Makes this a little bit easier. Okay. And we will have to figure out that pitch yaw issue at some point here. But we're getting there. We can add, remove, and warp to a thing. Hopefully without errors being thrown. Oh. Value name. Warp. Stuff float. Okay, now you're just being silly. Out of bounds. Yeah, now you're just being silly. Come on. I think it might be having issues with float in general. Out of bounds of a float. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. No, it's not out of bounds of a float. We'll double check. It's out of bounds of okay. Numeric serializers. I think that's a configure8 issue. That doesn't seem right to me. Anyway, so warp test. Oh, now I don't have anything. Oh, that's because the warp didn't get added. So add warp, test warp. So now warp, test warp. Hey, look at that. Perfect. It teleports you asynchronously. That's the whole idea. Okay, so now we add a command called list warps, and we will figure out that issue later. I think the temporary workaround is going to be just doing doubles instead of floats. But I think we have stumbled across an issue with configure8. So list warps, and actually give it an alias of warps, and warp list. Alright, so now it takes no arguments, does have a handler, and we're going to basically only feed them permissions for the, or feed them names of the ones they have permissions to go to. Or we strike through the rest of them. I think we strike through the rest of them. We give them a list of all of them? No. We only give them a list of the ones that they have permissions for. That's what we're doing. So in order to do that, what we'll do, go to our collection provider. So for let's actually do warp data, collection provider, warp data values. And so now, oh wait, we actually do need the map.entries because we need the permissions. It's just easier if we use the entries. That's entry set. If see, much easier. See, get sender, send message. Text or plain. So dot value dot name. And there's no reason to color it, I don't think. Fact, I'm thinking like what would be the best way of doing it. I think just having a comma separated list would be nice. So we're actually going to do a component here. Message equals component.text that empty. And so we'll send the message at the end of the actual message. And in the components or message.append, right? Component.text. And say kvp.value.name. So message equals message.append, a message dot append. It'll be component.text. There we go. And then we remove the last component, message.remove children. Remove object index message.children size. One, so we just remove the last component. Unmodifiable list of children. Okay. This is becoming a pain in the ass real fast. We just removed the last component, he says. Okay, so message dot children, set the children list to children. I'm assuming, yep. Contents of children, copy. Okay, well that's a pain, but it works, sure. So now we just repackage it. Oh, and also we were going to, hang on, before we repackage it, we're going to set the warp data to, instead of floats, doubles. Because clearly that is a problem. Doesn't make any sense to me, but it is an issue, so I'm going to fix it. Go. Okay. Yeah, this works fine. Using doubles instead of floats, but like, you know, at some point we gotta make this actually work. Alright, so that's been recompiled. And this should actually bring up... This should actually load without issues, hopefully. If it doesn't, then we have real problems. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's it looks like configure just has issues with floats. So good to know. Alright, so now we should just warps. Test warp. Cool. That works. Obviously, if you add commas to your warps, it's going to be a little confusing. But, you know, what can I do? So, warp, test warp. Look at that, beautiful. And so now basically you can add, let's see, and create, delete, or modify an existing warp. Because you can just, instead, you can add warp and replace the warp that you have. So that I consider that modifying. List and go to warps. Yes. Permission nodes per warp. Yep. Perm node to create warp at locations. Yep. Possibly signs. Okay. So let's take a look at signs. Oh, yeah. Okay. Like, that changed. Yes, that was meant to change. Okay. So yeah, let's yeah. So let's take a look at signs then. Like warp signs. Okay, so how do we do warp signs? That's the real question. I guess the answer is we have these sign events. I guess we look at a sign interaction. So like a sign interaction event, right? And what's the easiest way to do this? So how do we, I guess the question is how would we do like a sign structure? So we do like warp at the top and then the warp name on the line below it, right? Or it doesn't even have to be at the top. We just do somewhere in there is warp and somewhere in there is name. Does that make sense? The warp and the name have to be have to have like their own line and have to have, yeah. Well, the warp name would have to be right below the warp. And then once it's done, once you create that sign, it will set the actual text to the warp name at the top, I think. No. It'll turn it blue or something. I don't know. It'll turn it colors. That sounds good to me. Maybe. Or we don't turn it to colors. We just keep it basic. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah. Let's follow Kiss. Let's do basically somewhere on the sign has to be a warp and the line below it has to be the warp name. Sound reasonable? Sounds reasonable. And then interacting with a sign checks that. That's actually super easy. I don't even have to store anything in new databases or anything like that. I just literally just check the sign. Works for me. Okay, so I don't even have to like have it do anything when you create a sign. It just checks a sign interaction. All right, so Bukkit events dot subscribe plugin, and then sign event, sign change event, interact. You do like a sign Bukkit sign interaction. Right click block, I guess. Player interact event, right click block, sign. Interact event, right click block, wall sign or sign. Got it. So just check the material. Okay. Player interact events. No. Interact event class. And then event priority will be just normal, I think. Let's make it high. Then filter. We're gonna filter for signs basically. So e dot as block. Yes. Check if this event involved a block. Then filter again. E dot get clicked block, I think. Block dot type is material dot sign. Okay, well, fuck you. We're gonna do type e dot quick block type dot ends with name ends with sign. It's the smart way of doing it. Fuck all of that. Handler. And then this warp. I can spell. And then we're gonna filter. We'll just do try warp. Not null layer direct event. Okay, so basically we know it's a sign now. And so we're gonna take a look at the sign and see if there's any warp data on it. So, how do we get like the sign data? Block states. That's right. Get click blocks. Sign get okay. So yeah. Sign. It's a sign. Event click block. Sign dot is editable now. Line dex. Got it. Yep, lines. Which return components. I figured. I was like, it's not strings anymore, is it? Nope, it's components. Components, component, line and lines. If line dot, oh boy. Is there a way to like strip the stylings on it? Cycle. Properties, style. I'd like to just like get the text. Append children. Event color. Stuff. Place text. That's not what I want. ToString. Fairly certain ToString returns a JSON, right? I can't tell. Line dot text. Components are a bit tricky to deal with. They're easy to create, but they're hard to look at. Children is only going to get me children anyway. As styling components get me anywhere either. Color if absent. Let's see, query. Text. Okay. Get contents. Get something. Not sure exactly. Spaces of content. Text component. Pretty sure it would get text component. Because the line, yeah, it's going to be a text component. Technically, it only returns component. So we're going to do L, or just line, I guess. Yeah, line. Text component. So we're going to cast it to a text component. I'm fairly confident that is a text component. So now I can actually get the content, yeah. Cool. Okay. So content, which means, yeah. Children. Well, we'll find out. Essentially, we'll find out. So the content, L. Signal case. And so basically we're going to want to read the next line. So this will be the next line after this is true. So we're going to want to break here as well. If warp, then we're going to say oh, not break, continue. So continue. And we're going to say the warp name is here. So L.content. String name. So the name is content. And so, if not warp, return. And so now basically we know that we have a warp and we have a warp name. So we go into our suggestion And we kind of are just going to copy paste this, honestly. Also, our warp name is going to be 2 lowercase as well. So, yep. Go to our warp data. And if, it doesn't even be 2 lowercase, I don't think. We're going to do equals ignore case. If name dot equals ignore case key, then we warp them there. Fine. There. Happy now? Yeah, you're happy now. All right. So yeah, now basically warp them there. And since this is synchronous, it finally allows us to do this without just sane BS. So we do the event dot declare teleport async and kvp dot value dot location, and instead of command, it's actually going to be a plugin. So if the name is equal to the key, or name dot equals ignore case kvp dot value dot name, and we warp them. Perfect. That should be good, I think. A little janky, but it does work. Like, it definitely will work. So we'll have to stop this one more time, unfortunately, because we're using Brigadier. It's not going to reload properly. Go. All right. Oh, and I actually forgot half the point of this. Hang on. Events dot add. There. I have to repackage it. Stop the server and restart it. All right. And we'll have to relocate the dependencies inside the jar as well. That'll only take a second, though, I think. Oh, Mata says, hi, love your content, keep up the good work. Hey, thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so let's try this out and see if our signs work. So, I'll have a warps. Yep, so warp to test warp. Cool. And so now if we create a sign, I need a sign. And we just say warp, test warp, and we right click it. Nothing happens because there's an error. I call subscriber, class cast exception, craft block, and not cast a sign. Oh, that's right. I'm saying here, get clicked block. Or material data, which tells it, yeah. Sign is actually material data, not block. It's actually just going to be dot data. There it is. So we'll try this one more time. And since we started at 8:30, 4 hours or less will be 12:30. We've got 1 more hour yet to get this working, which actually should only take a few minutes, I think, assuming I got this right. Mystic says, cool, yeah. We're getting there. And yeah, I don't even have to store any data on the sign. It's literally just like, as long as the warp and then the warp location is underneath it, it's good. Alright, so let's try that one more time. Alright, I got an error, and the error is craft floor sign cannot be cast to sign. Craft floor sign, okay. Craft floor sign. I guess it no longer implements the sign interface. Let's see. Got craft buckets. Extends craft block. Board bucket. Oh yeah, no, it does. Board bucket block data type sign. Maybe I'm wrong. Data.type.sign. Oh, there it is. Dot lines. Line dot material. Rotation. Waterlog. Merge. Set rotation. Org.bucket block sign. Dot data type block. Oh, this is actually like a block. How do I take a block and turn it into a sign? Floor sign. Craft floor sign. What was the error previously? It was couldn't so right, yeah. This was oh, that's fine. This was excuse me. Craft block cannot be cast to. So let's just very quickly Google that and see what the actual answer is. Boy, that didn't help. Cached? Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Okay. Cast to org.bucket.block.sign. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've ever had to deal with signs actually, so I'm not sure. Let's see. Active sign. Clicked block. State. Oh, it's a state. Okay. Okay, so Bukkit is a little bit confusing in that there's states. Yeah, okay. There's states, there's blocks, and there's block data. And one of those is the correct one, and I couldn't remember what the other one was. I knew it was like block data and then block, and I couldn't remember what its state. State was the third one. It's kind of a pain in the ass. This should be working now. It's funny because you do have, yeah, you have the block and you have the block data, and then you have the state, which is separate from both. You have to remember which one you're actually casting to, because org.bukkit.block.sign, for example, is not actually block, it's actually state. But it's still erroring out. Or it's not. Ah. It's doing something. It's not erroring. Okay. We got that. It looks like it's not picking up the warp test warp. So let's see what we've got here. So if we do lines, and we'll just do the l.content. So warp is true, and new warp. Oh, break, actually. Just needs a break, not a continue. Warp. Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll just print out the content. And say sign clicked. And actually, we're gonna do dot filter e dot is it the hand? It's hand, yeah, hand equals slots offhand. Basically saying, like, did we right click it? I'm pretty sure. This hand is gonna be item, can't. Yeah, it's basically just saying, like, right click versus left click. We want right clicks only. Sign clicked. And so we're just gonna literally like warp and then so just like this. Basically giving me as much debug info as possible. And then we do testing that. So teleporting sync. Teleporting. Oop. And then we'll break here as well. Okay. There we go. All right. So one more time, give it a shot. And this will at least give us a bunch of debug information. That way we can say like, oh, hey, here's where the issue is. Hopefully, anyway. All right, voice here. By the way, if you haven't yet, check out, while this is booting, check out the Discord up in the top right, or in the description below, or in the chat. You should be able to see it any one of those places. Discord is a place that we go to have fun and check things out and, you know, chat. So join if you like. I recommend it, but you don't have to. It would make me sad though. All right, now we got this. So now we right click it and see what we got. Okay, didn't even hit the Wow. Okay. Well, I did change one thing. Like, thing you're going, huh, that's interesting. I did change the offhand equipment slot. Because the fact that it didn't get anything at all is a little odd. Right? Am I? Yeah, no, it should at least give me like a sign clicked. So let's try this one more time. But this time with feeling. Let's see if the offhand thing was correct. I don't think it is. I think having that in there is good. But we'll find out. All right. Got this. Oh, okay. Well, now it works. What? It didn't work the first 2 times. All I did was that debug. Well, anyway. Why didn't it work the first 2 times? That worries me a little. Am I wrong here? Or... Oh. Yeah, this is why. There. Okay. Fuck off. What am I supposed to do with this? Ugh. Now it's working. Okay. Get hand should be like the hand used to perform the action. Maybe action. Stepping into. Oh, okay. It's fine. And that should be offhand. Should be offhand. It really should. It should be offhand. Apparently it's not, but let's try it one more time in case I'm crazy, because apparently I am crazy. Because it's working now. I don't understand. All right, let's see. Come on, load. Okay. Okay. For some reason, the hand isn't working. I don't know exactly why. But I suppose we can do right click some other way. Action, action, right click, block, yeah. Dot. Get action. Action. Right click, block. Which means that has block is also going to be true. Yeah. Okay. One more time. We're getting warp signs done. Very slowly. All right. This should be it, I think. Minus the debug, of course. Okay. Yep. Awesome. Don't know why it didn't work the first time, but it's working now. Watch me remove the debug and it stops working. That would be how it would go. It's fine. Oh, and we have to also, before I forget, relocate some of these. So, take a look at we've got cloud and com merging Brigadier, got it. So I think it's cloud.command framework. It is. So we'll have to relocate that real fast. That's easy enough to do, honestly. It's just cloud command framework. And then merging Brigadier. Wondering if that's already in 16.5 here. Plugins. Hash patched. Let's see, merging Brigadier. Yeah, looks like it's already in here. So we can actually get rid of it. So let's do exclude merging Brigadier. I think that's how they spell it. I didn't actually check. We'll find out. Let's do it the dumb way, he says. Hey, I was right. Oh, me, Loco, Commodore as well. That's right. I need to relocate that. So JKLM and alphabet. Me.loco. Commodore. There we go. All right, let's check that one more time, make sure that's relocated properly. Should be. So we got me, I get you, DC. Oh, hang on. That's not what we want. Yeah, W. That could have been bad. That would have interfered with the other plugin that I made. This is why we check these things. Okay, one more time. I get 2, WP. External. Yep, everything's there. Awesome. So this should be a little bit lighter. Just a little bit. Yeah, 1,200 versus 345. Because we didn't need Brigadier. Don't need to shade that in. Plus, it probably helps a little bit with the server booting. Go. Oh, oh goody, I wake up to an egg stream. Hey, it's underscore. Alright, so, hey, look at that, it still works. Cool. So now we can create warps to anywhere. So we just create like a, I don't know, say, create warp, and then warp name, diving board. And so we just warp diving board, and voila. Excellent. What I could do is I could also do like a flight, yes or no. But it may be better to keep flight. So if we do like diving board, warp, diving board, there we go. Perfect. Look at that. Beautiful. And if we do list warps, there we go. Diving board and test warp. Excellent. We have a warp plugin. Hey, underscore 11. You got the tail end of the stream because it's done. That's it. We made a warp plugin with signs, with sign support in, what was it, 3 hours? 3 hours and 15 minutes? Yeah, 3:15. Our goal was less than 4 hours, and we got 3 hours and 15 minutes. Does this have unit tests? No, it does not. But we do have our warps.yml, and voila, perfect. It works. And if we do a warp, we have our diving board and test warp. And this is all thanks to Brigadier and all thanks to Cloud. So in this plugin, we've used my event chain, of course, the paper API. And in fact, we actually did use some paper specific APIs here. We used Cloud, the Cloud command framework, with Brigadier and Lucco's Commodore. We also used Configurate, and we used JetBrains annotations. And yeah, learned how to make some basic simple commands through the Cloud command framework. And we went through kind of how to store YAML data in files using YAML Configurate. And we went through just a basic kind of overview of how my event chain library works. And yeah, if you want to, if you want more of this, more discussions about this, then the Discord up in the top right is a great way to get more discussions out of me. It's also in the description below and in chat as well. And yeah, if you for whatever reason really want me to release this plugin on GitHub, I'll keep it on my hard drive for now. But yeah, if you want me to put this plugin on GitHub, just let me know in the Discord. I'll throw it up there and I'll put it in. But for now, I'm just gonna say, I'm too lazy. So, but yeah, I think that'll do it for today, and I don't have too much fun. And yeah, we'll see you next Saturday, next stream. Bye. Oh, and this time I actually have stuff on my stream deck that actually brings me into the separate areas. Look at that. All right, bye. Have fun.